and selecting papers of contemporary interest turned out to be much more difficult than I had originally anticipated. I am particularly grateful to Satish Chaudhary for his meticulous work in preparing the manuscript for publication, to B.B. Chand and his team at the NCAER library for downloading numerous articles and scanning them for consideration, and to K.D. Sharma for his organizational and other help. I deeply appreciate the expert advice received from Shashanka Bhide on the selection of papers whenever I asked for it, and to Ms. Anuradha Bhasin for copy editing and preparing the manuscript. I am especially grateful to Udayan Mitra at Penguin for his invaluable help and guidance at different stages of the book's publication. Ameya Nagarajan did the final editing of the book within a very short period. I am thankful to her for her meticulous work. Written by Bimal Jalan in August 2011. Introduction. Just a year or two ago, India's reputation as both a democracy and a global emerging power was at its peak. Today, with daily reports of widening corruption, misgovernment and public despair about the working of India's politics, the picture has changed dramatically. India's reputation seems to have swung from that of a land of great opportunity to that of a country with an uncertain future. The change in perceptions of the working of India's democracy and its economic prospects is, of course, nothing new. In the mid-1980s also, from 1984 to 85 to 1990 to 91, India had registered a rate of growth of more than 8% per annum, and soon thereafter, in 1991, India went through one of its worst economic crises. With two short-lived governments in the 2 years prior to the crisis, there was also a big question mark about the country's political future. In the light of current concerns about India's prospects and the past history of sharp swings in India's fortunes, I have tried, in this volume, to bring together a set of papers on India's past, present, and future. Most of these papers were written over the last 20 years, with the exception of 3 short notes from the mid-1970s regarding the need for reforms in the import and industrial licensing policy to boost growth. The primary message of these essays, as I look back, is simply that in the past 20 years, unlike the period before, India's capacity to grow faster than ever before and eliminate poverty has increased substantially because of certain positive changes in its comparative advantage in relation to other countries. However, for India to seize the opportunities that lie ahead, it is essential to bring about reforms in the working of our politics and administration. The main areas of concern in the light of recent events are basically two: the growing disjuncture between economics and politics, and the emergence of a public-private dichotomy in the growth trajectory. There is simply no doubt that, in recent years, as the economy has become vibrant, politics has become more fragmented and messier. Most of us, as observers of the Indian scene, are, of course, familiar with these developments, such as the diminishing accountability of the executive to parliament, rising corruption, the preponderance of criminals in politics, and the disproportionate power of small regional parties in multi-party coalitions. Unfortunately, while these unsavory political developments are well known and dominate the media space, there is much appreciation of the urgent need for political reforms to strengthen accountability, reduce the scope for corruption, and reverse the incentives for small parties to destabilize coalitions. Another core issue with multiple dimensions that needs to be resolved is what can be best described as the growing public-private dichotomy in economic life. It is a striking fact that growth is now occurring largely outside the public sector. India has the distinction of having a large number of dollar billionaires.